Hey you guys, what's up? It's RocketHouse54 here, and welcome to my list for the best films of 2017. Yesterday I uploaded my list for the worst films of 2017, but today I'm going to be doing my best list. Now to start off, I do have some honorable mentions. I'm not going to say too much about them. I'm just going to probably just list them off. First honorable mention is Transformers: The Last Knight. I know lots of people don't like the series, but I really enjoyed this one. And then the next honorable mentions are Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Lady Bird, It Comes at Night, Power Rangers, I know I haven't even opened this yet, Gerald's Game, The Founder, The Disaster Artist, and Daddy's Home 2. Now to get on to my actual list for the top 10 best films of 2017. Number 10 is Fist Fight. This didn't get good reviews, but I really liked it a lot. It was really well written and insanely funny. I laughed so hard during this film. I really liked it. The fight scene at the end is the best fight scene of the year. This tops literally any superhero movie fight scene. It was so well constructed with everything they put in. Apparently, according to Ice Cube, apparently the actual fight scene took 8 days to shoot, which honestly, I believe that. But yeah, Ice Cube and Charlie Day really had good chemistry, if you want to call it that, because their characters hate each other. But they were really funny. Jillian Bell was hilarious. Yeah, if you just really like comedies that you can laugh at, and if you like fight scenes to anticipate in movies, this is definitely one I recommend checking out. Number 9 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This improved on the first one in almost every aspect, from the writing, the directing, the characters, because you learn more about them. The comedy, I think, was better in this one. The only thing it didn't improve on the original was the soundtrack. I didn't know very many songs in this one, whereas I knew quite a few from the first one, but other than that, this is a better sequel than... Well, not a better sequel. It's a better movie than the original, which is pretty hard to do these days, but I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and, you know, Baby Groot was great. I'm glad they put him in here. He was so cute. Yeah, that's really all I can say about this one. It was just a really well-made superhero film. Number 8 is Logan. Hugh Jackman's final film as Wolverine. It's going to be really sad to see him go. I'm very curious to see who they're going to put in his place, but they really gave Hugh Jackman a beautiful send-off as Wolverine. It could not have been done any better. The violence and action scenes were so well crafted. I'm very glad that they made this movie rated R. It probably would have been good without it, but they made it really great. With it being rated R, they could get away with a lot more. Daphne Keane was a great choice to play X-23. I really liked Patrick Stewart. I thought that he was really good. Apparently he deliberately lost weight for this role, because apparently he's had a steady weight since he was a teenager. The makeup, especially on Hugh Jackman himself, was really good. The only flaw I really had with this was that sometimes they tried a bit too hard to be R-rated, but other than that, Logan was, in my opinion, the best superhero film since The Dark Knight, with the exception of Deadpool. Number 7 is The Florida Project. The Florida Project is a film that really speaks to the kid in every one of us, because it gives you that vibe when you're a bored kid in the summer, because it shows each side of, like, the kids and the adults. Like, you know, the kids being kids, getting into trouble, and the adults, you know, stressing out about stuff. And I told you this wasn't. I told you in my worst list that this wasn't going to be the last time you hear me talk about a Willem Dafoe performance, and that's true because he gave a pretty good performance in this movie. He was kind of funny to see how, like, he really doesn't like these kids. He thinks they're annoying, but what's more to that is that he does give a really good performance as the head of the apartment building, the manager, I think he is. It's been a few months since I've seen it, but yeah, the real show stealer was Bria Vinate as Haley. She was really great. I loved her performance. Apparently, Sean Baker, the director, actually came across her on Instagram. That was how he found her. And she's actually going to be in Harmony Korine's new film coming out next year, so I am very excited for that. I cannot wait. But this movie's probably out of theaters now. But if you did miss it, I highly recommend that you check this one out because it'll really speak to the inner kid in you. Number 6 is one that I bet nobody has on their best list. Not because nobody's seen it, but because not a lot of people loved it. But I did. Number 6 is McGee's The Babysitter. If you're going into this expecting a very clever and, like, scary horror film, you're not going to get that here. This is not a flat-out horror film. It is a horror comedy. And it is written so well for what it is trying to be. I laughed so much throughout this whole movie. I love horror films that you're not supposed to take seriously, and this one you are not supposed to take seriously by any means. There are so many things that are so absurd in this movie, but it's supposed to be like that. The kills just made me die laughing. I really liked the actors. King Batch is in this, and he's very funny. This is not supposed to be, like, as I said, a film you're supposed to take seriously. It's just meant to be one that you're supposed to have fun with, and as I said, it's supposed to be absurd, so you're gonna have to really appreciate what they were going for there, and I think that it was done so well, and I can't wait to rewatch this one many times in the future. Number 5 is one that really grew on me on a rewatch. I didn't love this one as much as other people when I first saw it, but when I rewatched it, I really liked it. Number 5 is Baby Driver. I actually haven't opened this one either, because I just got it for Christmas, but Baby Driver is probably the best well-made film of the year. The editing better get an Oscar nomination. Like, by the way, I'm not going to say anything in particular, but pay attention to the beginning, like, and the graffiti on the walls, because you'll find some really cool Easter eggs if you pay attention to it. A really expertly made film. Edgar Wright did such a great job with this. Ansel Elgort was great as the title character. Kevin Spacey was good. John Hamm, Jamie Foxx, everybody was really good in this. The main thing I just loved about this film was how it was made, the characters, the soundtrack in particular, which is probably the best of the year. Was he slow? What was he slow? Oh, God, I love that so much. Like, I don't even want to know how much time this took Edgar Wright to make. It probably took so long. But if you did not see Baby Driver, then my God, you absolutely should, because it's such a great, entertaining crime film, and it's just such a well-made film. I know I keep on repeating myself, but it's truly great. Number 4 is a film that I never thought would ever happen, ever. But I am so glad it did. Number 4 is Creep 2. The first Creep is the only film that has ever legitimately had me worried. and Disturbed. But how was Creep 2? Well, it's much better than the first one. The only thing it doesn't have is the disturbing elements, but the last bit had me so stressed. Around the last 15 to 20 minutes, I was so stressed out. But don't expect this to be exactly like the first one, because this is more of a character piece on Mark Duplass's character. And he gave another one of the best performances of the year, right up there with James Franco for The Disaster Artist. He is so creepy and you're worried about what he might do, but you still love him at the same time. And you're worried, but you also care about him. He doesn't seem to be a guy that has many friends, but you kind of don't blame them for seeing the type of guy he is. Desiree Akhavan as Sarah was great. They got Karan Soni in the beginning of this movie, which is great. Just overall the dialogue, as I said, the stressful elements, the found footage aspect, the characters, everybody shined in this movie. Patrick Brice, you are such a great director. Please keep doing what you're doing. And also, Karan Soni, Desiree Akhavan, and Patrick Brice liked one of my tweets on Twitter, which I thought was really nice of them to do. I thought that was really cool. But if you've seen the first Creep and you're wondering how the sequel is, I would highly recommend you check it out, because if you really enjoyed the first one, I guarantee you'll love the second one. It is seriously one of the best films of the year, and one of my favorites of all time. I really loved how it was done. Number 3 is another film that was pretty early in the year, and January usually isn't a good time for horror films. Well, this one isn't too much of a horror film, it's more of a thriller. But my God, do I love this. Number 3 is Split. M. Night Shyamalan has really proven himself. He started with The Visit, and he returned with Split. James McAvoy, another one of the best performances of the year. Man, just seeing him as all these personalities was so good. Anya Taylor-Joy was great too. The script, the ending, which I didn't get at first, but the ending is one of the best twists I've ever seen. It's something you will not see coming. I really can't wait for Glass. Apparently production on that wrapped, I believe, a couple months ago. But yeah, just please watch this if you haven't, because that's all I can say. Sometimes it's I'm at a loss for words when it comes to movies, but please check this out. It is one of the best performances. It's also surprisingly really funny as well. I laughed pretty hard at a couple things in this movie. I would just highly recommend this one too. Now, number 2, we actually have a tie for my second favorite film of the year. And I'll tell you what the first one is, and then I'll tell you what the second one is that's tied. Get Out and Mother. Get Out is written and directed by Jordan Peele, who I was really shocked even just to see his name in the trailer. He's so used to comedy, and to see him pull off a horror film like this is mind-blowing. I seriously could not believe he had this in him. It speaks such a great message about racism. Lil Rel Howery gave one of the best supporting performances of the year. He was so funny. The build-up and suspense and the eventual climax is so good. I wanted to stand up and cheer in the theater during the last 15 minutes or so. The alternate ending is also really good. I'm glad they went with the original one, but it's really good. Every little thing that's dropped throughout was so well put in there that I'm like, my God, that is so well done. Like, I don't know how Jordan Peele had something like this in him. Such a great horror film. As for Mother, I just watched it a few days ago. I am still quite confused by it, but I looked up what it was actually about, and I think Darren Aronofsky did a very good job depicting, like, what it was actually about. There was all sorts of little stuff that I'd never thought about. I really liked Jennifer Lawrence as the title character. Sometimes her line delivery was a little off, but I really liked her. Javier Bardem was also pretty good. Kristen Wiig's in this, by the way. She was a shock to see in a movie like this. But what I really loved about this film, not for the reason you'd think, is the third act. It is disturbing beyond belief, yes. But that's why I love it, because, as I said, Creep was one of the only films that really terrified me. This movie made me feel so anxious and stressed and just like I was breathing really heavily during the last third act. In one scene in particular, I was like, oh my God, like this movie really, it's not even a horror movie, but it disturbed me so much. If I wasn't watching this with my friend, I probably would have been crying. I know that, like, some people really don't like this movie. It's a pretty divisive film. But for the third act alone, it really got what it was trying to do. It really got to me. Like, I really can't wait to check out more of Darren Aronofsky's films after this one. Mother may not be a film for everyone, but I would at least say to give it a chance. But I will say, if you're a woman, proceed with caution. And if you're a mother, don't watch the movie at all. Just a heads up. Anyway, now time for my number one pick for the best film of 2017. Monty the movie. Did you have any doubt? It's the greatest film of the year. Everything from the screenplay, directing, acting, the editing, the visual effects, the cinematography, just everything about it is just absolutely perfect. Nothing can or will ever be better than this. Like, The Dark Knight wishes it could be as good as this. Okay, but in all seriousness, my actual number one pick for the best film of 2017 is It. I was just lucky enough to see this twice in theaters, and I am so glad that I did. It is such a beautiful story about friendship and love, and all the child actors worked really well together. Bill Skarsgård was terrifying as Pennywise. This movie's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. I honestly could have watched like another hour and a half of this. One of the things I loved most about it was also how funny it was. Finn Wolfhard as Richie Tozier might be my favorite performance of the whole year. He was so hilarious, and I just loved him so much in this movie. There was a point, I'm not going to say what, because it ruins one of the best jokes in the whole movie, but he says something that I was thinking about for a good long time, and I went, like, in the theater, I went, yes! Because it was so funny. The movie, it is really scary. Like, it didn't scare me, but it is really scary. Like, there was some stuff that really shocked me. It was, like, I haven't finished the book yet. I'm around a third of the way through it, but it really is quite accurate to the book. And if you haven't seen it, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is, in my opinion, the best film of the year, and it just, everything about it was made perfectly. And, you know, the soundtrack is also really good. Cinematography, the mood, visual effects. I hope this wins visual effects at the Oscars. It probably won't, but anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more content. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. And remember, you guys, whenever trying to defeat killer clowns and watching some great films of the year, say no to drugs.